excited about this topic today. It's really, really important to me because when I was a six-figure entrepreneur in multiple six figures, I was, for the first time in my life, like I was making good money, I was doing what I love to do, but I had no life. I had traded corporate America for a worse job where my boss was a complete and I was the boss. So I'm telling you, man, I did not take a single day off work for 4 years. Working less and having work-life balance and having your mental health is like very important to me. And I think we went from hustle culture mentality that was toxic for everybody to like, we just want to stay at home and bake sourdough bread mentality that's also kind of toxic for everybody. And I do think there's like a happy balance in the middle. You can absolutely work 20 hours a week if you're a mom and have a seven-figure business. You can absolutely work 35 hours a week in my case and have an $8 million a year business. And I just want to talk you through it. But this is coming from the girl who, like I said, did not take a single day off work for 4 years, not a holiday, not my birthday, not my first wedding day, like probably why I didn't work out. I was willing and able to achieve those 30 to 40K months at all cost, because I just never made money like that before in my life. So it was life-changing. And in doing that, I was constantly chasing clients. I was on this organic social media hamster wheel of just posting content to get clients all of the time, always focused on like sales and marketing related activities. So today, I really want to talk to you about how you can work less and make more money. And I promise you, this is not going to be some sort of like, if you just manifest it and relax into your feminine energy, more money is going to come to you type of podcast. That stuff is frustrating. I want to walk you through exactly how I was able to go from posting on social media 3 times a day to now like 3 times a month, and how I was able to grow my business from 300K a year to 8 million a year and like truly work less. And I want to talk to you about it, like real talk. So full transparency, I still work. I still put in about 35 hours a week. Our company does 8 million a year. I have a business partner who puts in a lot of work. I'm not anti-work. I love working. I love what I do. I love serving my clients. So I just think there's so much mixed messaging out there. And if you don't feel called to work less, that's totally cool. But if you're completely burnt out working 70 hours a week, there's a shelf life on that. But if you're working a solid 40 hours a week and you're like, I feel good about that, that's probably because you love what you do. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think a lot of people who hate work and hate their jobs spread this like you should work less mentality. But I will share with you that before I sold my online fitness coaching company, that company was doing between 70 to 90K months. And I was working 4 to 6 hours a week in that business. Not because I didn't love it. I did love it. I just had another business, right? had another baby that I was focused on. So it's completely doable to be hands off and to work less. And so I just want to talk you through some of that today. This is probably for you, whether you you really value time freedom, but you still want to make a decent living, or you want to learn to leverage your time to make a multi-million-dollar business, right? Whether it's like, hey, I just want to chill so I can be with my kids and still make a good, decent living, or let me leverage my time and just keep scaling the thing. In my life, I've chose option B. Not a right or wrong answer. Who knows? There might be a time in my life in the future where I'm I want to work less. I want to pull back, but right now I love it. So there's not a right or wrong answer, and I just dislike when people make you feel like there is. So I want this podcast to be really useful for you guys so you can walk away and go, okay, I get it now. So there's really 3 things that it breaks down to. 1, the mindset. The mindset and getting your head around trading dollars for hours versus leveraging your money for those hours to make you more money or to free up your time. That's a whole mindset rabbit hole that I want to dive down with you today. Then there are really 2 other components to it. Time management, working on the right things. Where's your time management, where's your focus, and what are you working on? And I will reserve this podcast specifically for the mindset piece because I actually did a really great podcast a while back on time management and knowing what to focus on. So that's episode 567. We can link that in the show notes, but I would go back to that for the other 2 pieces. But if you're listening to this, wrap your head around it first, because you can manage your time perfectly. You can be working on the right things, but you as one human only has so much power and so much leverage. And this is a mindset shift that I had to make, and it was so hard for me to make because I grew up lower middle class, and my parents and everyone around me had the mentality that's just you do it yourself. Why would you pay somebody for something when you can do it yourself, right? Anyone's parents like that? And so for the longest time, I could not get around that. And now my mindset is the exact opposite. Why would I do something myself if I could pay someone to do it? Because my time is incredibly valuable. I run an $8 million a year company. Where is my higher leverage other than in the business? It's not cooking my own food. It's not doing my own laundry. It's not doing a lot of the things in the business anymore because there are only certain things that only Erin can do. So you have to start thinking like that. But how do you get to that, right? How do you get to that place? Because you don't run an $8 million a year company today. So like, how does it start to snowball? And so I want to walk you through that a little bit. So I want you to think about it like this. I want to give you my scenario. I want to give you some scenarios of some students that we've worked with, and I think it will really help. So I used to spend, when I had my online fitness coaching business, back when I was telling you that I used to work 70 hours a week, not joking, I'm not exaggerating, like there was not a moment that I didn't have my phone or my laptop where I was working. And I had no life, I had no friends. And so what my sales and marketing related activities used to look like is I would spend about an hour a day on content, which added up an hour a day, 5 days a week. That's being generous. I probably did seven hours a week. But let's just say like you're here. Maybe you're not as neurotic and psycho as I was. But I would spend an hour a day on content, which is like 5 hours a week, 20 hours in a month. That's content. That's marketing. Having DM conversations with people, I'd spend about 2 hours a day, Monday through Friday. So that's 10 hours a week, 40 hours in a month. Having actual sales calls with people, about 2 hours a day at that level of my business, 10 hours a week, 40 hours a month. So in 1 month, I was spending 100 hours or 25 hours a week on sales and marketing related activities. And to spend those 25 hours a week, I'd make $40K a month. This is not all that I worked, right? Because I had all the client fulfillment, all the admin, all the other stuff with that. This is just sales and marketing related activities. And again, I'm being generous. I probably spent like 40 hours a week on just that stuff. And so I was leveraging my time to make money, which is cool, right? I was so happy with it at the time. I went from making 40 grand a year to 40 grand a month at like 90 to 95% margins. I was thrilled. And that's why I was just like, well, whatever. I will work 70 hours a week if this is what I get to do. This is kind of income and the impact that I get to have on people and like doing what I love and having the conversations I love and all that. I was in, okay? Until I hit my breaking point because you can't run like that forever. And so my option when it was 2016 and I got to this point where I was like, okay, I'm getting a divorce because my business has come before my marriage. I have no friends. I have no life. Do I want to continue living like this to keep the kind of income and lifestyle that I want? Do I want to go backwards and work less time and make less money? Or option C, do I want to figure out a better way? Because there's so many people in the world who make more money than this, but they're not doing what I'm doing. I know that for a fact. So I opened my eyes and I opened my ears and I joined masterminds and I like started learning from people who were further ahead of me. And I'm like, oh my gosh, yeah, I am being crazy trading dollars for hours in the way that I'm doing this. And so I want to tell you where we're at today. And then I want to help you find a scenario in the middle. So today I spend about 6 to 8 hours a month, maybe 2 a week on creating organic content. I spend 0 hours in the DMs. I spend 0 hours on sales calls. I spend 0 hours on sales related activities. So, you know, those 100 hours a month that made me 40 grand in the past. Now I spend about 6 to 8 hours a month on sales and marketing related activities to make me 700 grand a month. Okay. Now there comes at a cost. So the cost, since I'm not trading my time anymore, I'm trading my money. So I spend about $100,000 a month on ads because I don't have all the organic stuff popping off and going viral and like all the time that it takes to try to do that, but I'm paying for it, right? So I spend the money on ads and then I spend money on my sales labor, of course. So we have 4 setters and 4 closers. And so if I'm spending roughly, 60 grand a month on that. So now, previous situation, I was trading 100 hours a month for 40K, just sales and marketing. That's like, don't get stuck there, just sales and marketing. Now I'm trading $150,000 a month for 700K. It might be obvious which scenario is better, but it also might not be because these are 2 total polar opposite ends of the spectrum. And it can be really challenging if you're on day 1 of entrepreneurship, you're not gonna be able to talk to Jeff Bezos and how he built Amazon and understand his mindset and understand the systems inside of Amazon. I don't wanna take you from 0 to 100 and blow your mind. I just wanna paint a picture. And now let me help you kind of go in between. Here's a middle of the road example. I remember chatting with someone who later joined IFCA, and if she listens to this podcast, she's gonna think this is hilarious because she's gonna know exactly who she is, but she's an incredible client now. She's been with us for probably 3 years, but she was at a point, she was making a decision to scale her business and her mindset was stuck and she could not get past it because she kept saying, well, if I hire people, won't I have less profit? I told her, yeah, like percentage wise, right? But would you rather have 90% of 200K or 40% of 1 million? And for those of you who struggle with simple math, I do too on the fly, so I had to write it up for this podcast. 90% of 200K is 180K. 40% of a million is 400K. But, and I think any sane person would say like, yeah, I'll take the 400K, right? We choose 400K over 180K. But some of you might be going, well, it just depends, right? Like at what cost? What I gotta do? Like, do I have an OnlyFans? Do I have to work 70 hours a week? Like there are conditions to that, right? The condition is you work a lot less. Because that investment that you're putting in, you buy back your time. So now let me give you the two scenarios. Would you rather make 180K and work 70 hours a week? Or would you rather make 400K and work 25 hours a week? Boom, no brainer, right? And that is reality. And we've done that for this individual that I'm talking about. She went from that like 180K solopreneur to now having a team. And she actually just messaged us not that long ago saying like, I think I need like a hobby or something. I don't know what to do now with my time. I freed up all my time. Real entrepreneurs though, they don't find themselves like being fine with just a hobby. It's either, all right, I'm pouring this time back into my family, which is an incredible option, or I now have new ideas and innovation and things for the business, drive the business forward, and then like in a few years, you'll have a $3 million business, right? And it just scales to that point. So I want you to like understand, because I just for the longest time could not understand, right? If I can do it myself, why would I pay someone else to do it? And wrapping my head around that, the leverage has absolutely changed my life, not only in my business, but understanding leverage when I've made money in other areas, to how can I use the bank's money to leverage it in real estate, just like the concept of leverage and me not doing everything, getting out of that middle class mentality has been everything for me. And so I'll share this point too, because I heard Hermosi say this on a podcast and it's also really changed my perspective. He said, and he was talking specifically with hiring salespeople, but it can apply to any person that you're going to hire in your company. He said, yeah, you can sell more than a closer. You will do a better job selling than hiring someone to sell for you on the phone. Now, let's assume you're good at sales. You're a skilled salesperson. You've been through IFCA, right? Like you understand all the frameworks, all the scripts, like you're doing really great. Maybe you're closing at 50 to 60% yourself. You will do better than hiring someone else in because you are you, it's your company. You've invested already in the mentors. You know what to do, all that stuff. But you will not sell more than 4 closers. And so at scale, a team is going to have more impact than you. So if you're considering scaling and you're stuck at that hiring, understand that. So in the scenario that I gave you above, like I mentioned, we have on our team 4 closers, 4 setters. They're leveraging, let's say each of them work 35 hours a week, they're leveraging 280 hours a week on just sales activities. Even if I were working 70 hours a week, which like, no thank you, I don't want that life anymore. Even if I were working 70 hours a week, I'm not going to do better than my whole sales team that's working 280 hours a week. So it just makes perfect sense that it's a better trade of dollars than it is for time. Spending money is the better strategy. And oftentimes, one of the best frameworks that you can have to realize your mindset is small, to realize you might not be seeing something, is 10x the problem, right? Okay, so right now, my strategy is just grind, double down, spend a bunch of time doing it. And that got me from A to B, B to C. So like at first, my online fitness coaching was a side hustle and I was doing pretty good by like working evenings and weekends and putting in that time and probably putting in 15 hours a week. I was like, what if I could like quadruple that strategy? So I quit my full-time job, started putting in 40 hours a week, quadrupled results. Awesome. Got really super neurotic. What if I could double that strategy? Stop working 40 hours a week and start working 70 hours a week. I want to 10x this goal. Well, my strategy has to change. I can't work 700 hours a week. So there's a way to realize, is this scalable or is it a strategy problem? Am I limited? The answer to time, manpower, elbow grease, do more, it's always going to be limited if you want to continue to scale or if you want to have more freedom and buy back. Because you absolutely can run an online fitness business that does $1 million a year where you're working 5 hours a week. We've done it. I've seen many of our other students do it. Now, I will say a big reason a lot of entrepreneurs don't do it is for the very reason they're an entrepreneur in the first place, right? It's because we like to create and solve problems. So they'll find themselves being really messy inside of their business, creating another problem just to solve it. So the entrepreneurs who I see be successful with that and truly do it, it's because they have a purpose to step away. Whether that's like having a baby and so you want to be with family more often, and so then you really are intentional about that, or you're starting another business or something along those lines. Like entrepreneurs want to be busy, want to have something to do. So if you're like, I could never, could you? Or are you just neurotic? Can you just not step away? Are you just a busybody? We like to make ourselves really important inside of our business. So it's absolutely 100% doable. And I will say too, if you're like, everything you're saying sounds great, but I could use frameworks, I could use help, I could use the hiring templates, I could use the interviewing templates, I could use the who do I hire first, all of those things. We do all of that inside of IFCA. One of my favorite things and one of my favorite students to work with is that person who has scaled to $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 months. Maybe they're a solopreneur, maybe they have a couple people on their team, but they haven't really gotten this concept that I'm talking about today to leverage. Book a call with us. We'll throw you into our legacy program. It's like a level up from IFCA Accelerator that you probably heard us talk about. And we can do all that. We can build all that foundation. And you really can. If you're in a position right now where you're like, man, the money's good, life is good, I'm happy, but it'd be really awesome to be working working less and making more money, we can totally do that. A lot of people I find though, they get stuck right here. They get stuck at the 20K months or 15K months because good is the enemy of great, right? Like you're not in a bad spot. You don't have real reason to like invest big, take massive action, get uncomfortable again. But gosh, great is such a great place to be. Take it from somebody who has scaled a business on less time, scaled another business, and just has the freedom to choose. You know, it's so great to not be married and tied to your business. And when you're not, you produce better outcomes. You have more freedom, you have more creativity, you have more better marketing campaigns, all the things tend to happen because you don't have to do it. It's running and you're not stressed. So anyway, food for thought. Hope this helps. And as a reminder, episode 5, 6, 7, because you can have the best mindset in the world, but if you don't have the actual time management and what do I need to focus on as an entrepreneur, you're never ever going to get to a place where you're working less. So this is the mindset talk. Please go over to that podcast for the tactical conversation. All right, and we'll see you in the next episode.